secondary school is 5 years, unlike in Hong Kong where it's 6 years. Additionally, sixth form college is something that you have between secondary school and university. And this is like a 2-year period in between to prepare you for university. And university is also 3 years long rather than 4 years in Hong Kong. But if you do like a master's, it'll be longer, it'll be 4 years. The exams that you take at secondary school is the GCSEs, which you take at year 10 and year 11, but some schools prepare it as early as year 9 or even year 8. And for A-levels, you prepare and you do them around in year 12 and 13, but you select them as early as year 11. Okay, so if you're moving over to the UK, these are some things to be aware of. When you move, it can impact the exams that you're taking. So on to the types of schools available. There are 2 main types. There are independent schools, which are your fee-paying schools, and you have to pay for them. And then there are state schools, the non-fee-paying schools. Okay, so here, independent schools. Independent schools are similar to your Hong Kong international school and private school. They have day and boarding. So boarding can be weekly or full. So you can choose to only board for the week from Monday to Friday, and your child can come in for the weekend. Or you can have full boarding, which will mean that your child is at the school for the whole term, except from during Easter, Christmas, and summer. And it's for ages 4 to 18, but there are some places that offer it earlier, so from 2 to 18, but that doesn't always include boarding. And there are around 2,500 schools to pick from, so there are plenty for you to pick from, and there are many different ones available. Only about 6.5% of UK students, local UK students, take these schools and go to one of these, which means it's not very common. So if your child doesn't go to one of these, it's very normal. Now, they are very expensive. Day schools cost about £20,000 a year, and boarding schools cost about £35,000 a year. And it's more expensive in places like London or some of the more competitive ones as well. So there's something to make a note of. So how do you apply? How do you get into one of these independent schools? Well, as you know, there are over 2,000. There are many. They don't have a catchment area, so you can apply anywhere. You can apply now even when you're in Hong Kong, but it does take somewhere between 1 to 4 years, depending on which school you pick. And there are different entry tests as well. And when you apply, you have different tests. So the main ones that you have to be aware of are English and maths. Usually there are written exams. And if you apply a little bit later, looking at maybe year 7, year 8, year 9, particularly year 9 and year 12, you might have to do sciences or even languages like French, Spanish, German, or anything particular. Like if you're applying to do your A-levels, you might need to already have some awareness of the subject and show that you know it, and you might have to take a subject-specific test. If you're in Hong Kong, there are alternatives. So these are 2 tests that you can take in Hong Kong. You can take them locally in Hong Kong, so you don't have to go to the UK to take them. But they are slightly different. They're usually online, so they're very different, and you can prepare for them. Now, the main entry points that you should be aware of are year 7, when you're 11, year 9, when you're 13, and year 12, when you're 16. So as I mentioned before, you do your GCSEs in year 10 and 11, and you do your A-levels at year 12 and 13, which is why it's recommended that you go before you start those exams, because if you join in the middle, you'll be missing out a lot, and you will not be prepared for the examinations. Year 7 is a good time to go because you're beginning secondary school, and that's when most local students will be going to their new school. So it's a very typical entry point.